Dikepung gerai restoran fast food atau makanan cepat saji, menyenangkan dan memang memudahkan. Dikala lapar melanda, tidak perlu lagi jauh mencarinya dan tak lama pula menanti makanan yang diinginkan datang lalu siap disantap. Lapar pun hilang. Itu adalah secuil manfaat fast food. Namun di balik kemudahan dan cepat penyajian, ada nilai yang hilang. Fast food menggiring dunia pangan menjadi dunia industri dari hulu ke hilirnya. Ini tentunya menghilangkan aspek ketelusuran pangan. Ketelusuran pangan di sini berarti konsumen dapat mengetahui asal-usul pangan yang diolah. Ini penting bagi konsumen untuk mengetahui kualitas bahan pangan dan produsennya dalam proses menghasilkan bahan pangan. Untuk info lebih jelas tentang fast food, kita bisa menilik film Fast Food Nation, dibuat oleh Richard Linklater pada 2006.
Although the rise in foodborne illnesses has been caused by many complex factors, much of the increase can be attributed to recent changes in how American food is produced. The taste of a fast food fry is largely determined by the cooking oil. For decades, McDonald's cooked its French fries in a mixture of about 7% cottonseed oil and 93% beef tallow. The mix gave the fries their unique flavor and more saturated beef fat per ounce than a McDonald's hamburger. The fast food companies purchase frozen fries for about 30 cents a pound, reheat them in oil, then sell them for about $6 a pound. In 1960, the typical American ate 81 pounds of fresh potatoes and about 4 pounds of frozen French fries. Today, the typical American eats about 49 pounds of fresh potatoes every year and more than 30 pounds of frozen French fries. 90% of those fries are purchased at fast food restaurants. The burgers, chicken, French fries, and buns are all frozen when they arrive at a McDonald's. The shakes and sodas begin as syrup. At Taco Bell restaurants, the food is assembled, not prepared. The guacamole isn't made by workers in the kitchen, it's made at a factory in Michoacan, Mexico, then frozen and shipped north. Since the end of World War II, farmers in the United States have been persuaded to adopt one new technology after another, hoping to improve their yields, reduce their costs, and outsell their neighbors. By embracing this industrial model of agriculture, one that focuses narrowly on the level of inputs and outputs, that encourages specialization in just one crop, that relies heavily on chemical fertilizers, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, advanced harvesting, and irrigation equipment, American farmers have become the most productive farmers on Earth.
Berlawanan dengan fast food ada gerakan slow food. Gerakan ini pada dasarnya kembali ke tradisi konsumsi dahulu. Konsumsi pangan yang mengedepankan aspek ketelusuran pangan. Geliat gerakan ini sudah mendunia termasuk di Indonesia, yaitu ada di Bali, Yogyakarta, dan Jakarta.
Kami lebih banyak melakukan pendekatan di mana di dalam program produser dan co-producer. Jadi kita sebagai warga kota yang dianggap cukup sebagai melting pot di sini dengan latar belakang yang berbagai macam, kami melakukan pendekatan kegiatannya seperti kunjungan ke produsen-produsen produk yang memang memenuhi kaidah dari good, clean, and fair dari Slow Food sendiri.
Mei lalu, Slow Food yang berpusat di Italia, Eropa mengadakan kunjungan ke Jakarta. Elena Anier dan Francesco Sotil adalah perwakilan dari Slow Food yang datang. Mereka berbagi banyak info tentang slow food dan keterkaitan pangan dengan agronomi. Berikut wawancara menarik dengan mereka.
Slow Food's a non-profit organisation in that we are member supported, so people can be involved with Slow Food in different ways. You become a member of Slow Food, such as what we have in Jakarta, and then people can, as we develop in a country, then we get involved with projects. So Slow Food in general is a non-profit organisation to look at changing the food system, to safeguard biodiversity and food biodiversity, educating consumers about how and where food comes from, and understanding farmers and what farmers do, to consumers to understand where food comes from and the whole chain from the land to the consumption to the plate to actually eating, all with the theme of pleasure. The headquarters is based in Italy. Yes. Okay. Fast food is something you get quickly, you eat quickly, you're finished. Okay. Slow food is in contrast to fast food in that it has a snail as a symbol, because a snail moves slowly, but it always reaches its destination in a slow manner. It takes its time to eat, it takes its time to move. So the symbol of a snail for us is very significant, because slow food doesn't need to do things quickly, because in our thinking, if you do things quickly, it's not always done well. So it's like nature. Things take time to actually grow. You plant, you grow, you harvest, you eat. Slow food works in cycles with nature. Food within slow food is food that is good, so it tastes good. It's good for you, healthy. Clean, which means it's clean to eat. It's clean for the environment. It's grown in a clean way. So it's grown without fertilizers, without chemicals. Clean also in the distribution of food. So when we talk about the distribution of food, it doesn't necessarily mean that food is flown from one place to another. So we talk about food that is traditional or local to an area. So imported foods into Indonesia, for example, wouldn't fit into the category for slow food of good, clean and fair. Fair is the third criteria that we refer to. So it's a social justice perspective. So if you look at all three, good, clean and fair, it's about how to try and make food more sustainable. The production of food and the consumption of food in a more sustainable way, but done with pleasure. So one of our goals is to, I don't want Indonesians to be Americans, I don't want them to be Australians, I don't want them to only know food that's imported from China, Australia or US. Is for people to actually understand what food culture and culture is from in Indonesia. Okay, when you talk about Sumatra, you understand what Sumatran food's about.
Well, actually, we are losing this connection because the new generation probably don't know that there is a strong connection between food, plants, and so that agronomy. Agronomy is the science that studies plants. So from plants we obtain fruits, we obtain whatever we used to eat every day. Well, in my opinion, the food condition is bad. It's bad because we lost interest in the healthy food, and we are still attracted from the not healthy and fast food, and we lost the traditions.
Kunjungan Slow Food Pusat ke Jakarta kali ini diisi dengan berbagai kegiatan. Ada kunjungan ke Taman Buah Mekarsari dan temu sapa dengan anggota Slow Food Jakarta di Sanggar Komunitas Ciliwung. Taman Buah Mekarsari berlokasi di Jonggol, Cilengsi, Bogor. merupakan satu-satunya taman koleksi buah terbesar dan terlengkap di Indonesia. Taman yang berisi koleksi dan pelestarian keanekaragaman hayati buah-buahan tropika ini didirikan pada 1990. Selain itu, taman buah ini juga difungsikan sebagai tempat penelitian budidaya, pemuliaan, dan perbanyakan bibit unggul, serta wisata buah. Saat kunjungan Slow Food Pusat, mereka berkesempatan mengunjungi beberapa titik kebun, diantaranya itu melon, salak, lontar atau siwalan, dan beberapa buah asli serta langka di Indonesia, yaitu gayam. Kegiatan selanjutnya yaitu temu sapa dan icip rasa Slow Food Pusat dengan Slow Food Jakarta. Kegiatan ini berlokasi di komunitas Ciliwung Condet, Jakarta Timur. Acara ini dihadiri oleh anggota Slow Food Jakarta. Berisi tentang pengenalan dan berbagi pengalaman dari anggota Slow Food Jakarta, Ketua Komunitas Ciliwung Condet Abdul Qadir, dan Slow Food Pusat Italia. Pemilihan lokasi kegiatan berkaitan pula dengan masuknya salak condet sebagai satu nominasi Arc of Taste. Di sini ada pula icip rasa beberapa produk pangan Indonesia yang pada tahun ini masuk dalam Direktori Bahtera Rasa atau Arc of Taste Slow Food. Arc of Taste adalah satu program dari Slow Food yang mencoba untuk membuat kompilasi produk-produk pangan yang terancam punah di seluruh belahan dunia. Kompilasi produk pangan ini juga bertujuan untuk memberdayakan komunitas lokal untuk melestarikan keberlangsungan produk tersebut. Acara di komunitas Ciliwung Condet dilengkapi dengan makan siang dengan menu lokal, diantaranya sayur asam, lalap mentimun dan labu siam, oseng kulit melinjo serta jengkol, serta sambal pucung yang berwarna hitam. Kegiatan kunjungan yang diadakan setiap tahun ini diharapkan dapat menjadi komunikasi langsung dan membangun antara jejaring Slow Food.
Kan kita dapat makanan yang tadi dijelaskan ini makanan Betawi. Saya kan memang dari Bali nggak tahu makanan Betawi kayak apa. Oh, saya biasanya contohnya nih makan melinjo, kulitnya pasti saya buang ini di sini dimakan, baru saya tahu di sini. Itu sedikit beda. Memang inilah yang kita perlu lestarikan. Memang ini yang mau punah yang kita harus kembalikan. Ya kita diberi gimana sih ngicip madu itu. Kita kan taunya beli madu merek di supermarket, kita minum gitu aja nggak tahu. Oh ternyata madu asli itu gini, ada agak sedikit asemnya. Kalau yang di supermarket sudah enggak. Terus seperti tadi ada ubinya, ubi Cilembu yang asli gini, yang nggak asli ya begini gitu. Jadi lebih pinter jadinya.
Dari Slow Food ini saya belajar bahwa kita harus menghargai makanan itu berasalnya dari mana, dari mulai ditanamnya, bagaimana, siapa yang, bagaimana cara perawatannya, panennya, pengolahannya, dimasak, cerita apa di balik masakannya tersebut, sampai ya kita bisa makan sendiri gitu. Saya sendiri kebetulan suka masak. Harus masak, lagi nggak ada pembantu. Dan saya nanam juga di rumah, saya punya kebun dan ikut komunitas urban farming, Jakarta Berkebun. Ada beberapa sayuran yang saya bisa olah dari rumah sendiri dan rasanya luar biasa.
Mengenal Slow Food berarti mengenal juga Bahtera Rasa atau Arc of Taste Indonesia. Berikut beberapa produk pangan yang berhasil masuk di Direktori Slow Food Foundation Arc of Taste. Garam laut Kusamba Bali. Desa-desa pantai Bali memiliki tradisi berabad-abad pembuatan garam. Desa Kusamba di wilayah Klungkung, Bali Selatan adalah satu dari beberapa desa yang telah melanjutkan tradisi bersejarah ini. Proses pembuatan garam dimulai dengan penguapan air laut di tempat tidur pasir vulkanik hitam untuk membuat air garam suling murni. Air garam tersebut kemudian dibiarkan mengkristal di dalam wadah yang terbuat dari kayu-kayu pohon kelapa. Garam-garam kristal yang muncul di permukaan lalu diraup dengan tangan dan dikeringkan untuk menghilangkan kelebihan air garam. Setiap blok kayu membutuhkan hingga 5 hari untuk menyelesaikan proses kristalisasi sebelum panen. Kini garam Kusamba diambang kepunahan karena hanya beberapa desa yang mampu melanjutkan warisan ini. Secara keseluruhan, kurang dari 50 keluarga yang masih aktif dalam produksi garam laut Kusamba. Lebah madu sangat penting di Kabupaten Lebak, Banten, Indonesia. Penduduk setempat secara tradisional memiliki hubungan yang kuat dengan peternak lebah. Mereka percaya bahwa kehadiran sarang lebah di rumah adalah tanda bahwa seseorang akan memiliki kemakmuran, kekayaan, dan harmoni dengan alam. Sarangnya dipanen setiap 2-3 bulan atau sesuai dengan kebutuhan sendiri. Peternak lebah biasanya menggunakan kembali sarang yang ada, kemudian dipindah ke area yang diinginkan untuk menaikkan lebah. Lebah merupakan bagian dari hubungan yang saling menguntungkan dengan flora lokal, membantu penyerbukan pohon-pohon palem dan kelapa, yang pada gilirannya memberikan rasa unik untuk madu cingagoler. Madu cingagoler dijual dalam jumlah yang terbatas bila dalam musim, dan juga secara tradisional telah digunakan sebagai item perdagangan dan obat-obatan herbal sebagai obat keluarga. Semua info sudah dibagi, sudah tiba di bagian akhir. Sebagai penutup, simak video tentang slow food yang berisi tentang pangan pisang. Slow food, good, clean, and fair food.
Like a flood, industrial agriculture, standardization of taste, and an increasingly globalized market are washing away the foods and flavors that communities have shared for centuries, and are permanently changing our diet. For example, bananas are one of the oldest and most widely consumed fruits in the world. There are hundreds of varieties, but 96% of those on the international market are Cavendish. A fungus is decimating their cultivation, and according to some experts, these bananas could disappear in just 10 years. The erosion of biodiversity is making our entire system more fragile, but its promotion could provide varieties resistant to this disease. We must do something before it's too late. To save this heritage, Slow Food has built a new arc. The Arc of Taste is a catalog that collects foods from around the world, cultures and flavors that this wave of standardization is wiping away, leaving us all poorer and more isolated from our heritage. We can help expand the Arc of Taste by nominating a food to save. We can nominate cultivated crops and livestock breeds, like the Nubia red garlic from Sicily or the Mangalica curly pig that is disappearing in Eastern Europe. But also wild products if there is a traditional technique to harvest or transform them, like the case of umbu, which grows in the semi-arid patches of Brazil. And then there are the transformed products, born over centuries to preserve vegetables, milk, and meat. On the Ark, for example, is the Pokot Ash yogurt from Kenya and yak cheese from Tibet. We can find products among our own memories, history, and personal experiences. Then, by looking through books about food, talking with experts, asking cooks, exploring the plants in a garden, and among the stalls of a farmer's market, even when we are traveling. But information from a book or downloaded from the internet is not enough. we have to see the products, touch them, smell them, and taste them. We describe the characteristics of the products to save, their textures, tastes, and aromas. And if we don't like the taste, before rejecting a product for this reason, we should remember that every community has its own preferences. We can also talk about the cultural aspects of these foods to save. Are they cooked for special occasions? Are they found in the memories of the elderly? Do they appear in legends, in songs, or sayings of a territory? All the products of the Ark are artisanal and produced in small quantities. Their quality depends on craftsmanship, know-how, and traditional techniques. We can propose foods that are at risk of being lost to the Ark of Taste. Sometimes the number of animals of a particular breed is declining, or there may be only a few farmers who know how to grow a certain type of bean. In other cases, a product may still be made by families at home, but it can no longer be found for sale. Boarding a product on the Ark means transforming it into an element of pride for the community. Everyone can refer to the Ark of Taste catalog and take concrete action. Everyone can look for these products, describe them, eat them, and promote them before it is too late. You can help us too.